Assalamualaikum. Welcome to the Front-End Frameworks Showdown video series, where we explore and compare the most popular front-end frameworks in the industry. In today's episode, we dive into the fundamental building blocks of these frameworks, components. I am your host Hashinur Rahman, and today we will be exploring the concept of components in Angular, React, Svelte, and Vue. Components are the building blocks of modern web development. They help us create reusable, modular, and maintainable pieces of user interface. Now let's take a closer look at how each framework handles components. Let's start with Angular. Open your Angular project with Visual Studio Code, and here we will work in our src directory, that is source directory. Main.ts is entry point of our application. It is importing app module and it is running the app module. Angular follow modular approaches. We will discuss about module in later videos. Let's go to our app module. App module is importing app component, and this is our root component. We will talk about component. So let's jump into app component. App component have a class. It is a TypeScript class and it have a decorator, that is component. So the TypeScript class have been decorated by component decorator, and component decorator is coming from Angular core. Here we can see a selector. Selector is our custom tag of our component. In our index.html you can see we have used app-root tag. It is not a built-in HTML tag, it is a custom tag, and our custom tag is created by this component decorator and this class. Here is the selector. The selector means custom tag name. After the selector we have template URL where our HTML markup is written. Here you can see a lot of HTML that is rendering our initial page, and then we have style URLs, so it may have multiple CSS file for our style. You can click on it and it have nothing at this moment, and our JavaScript logic will be inside this app component class. Now let's not talk about JavaScript logic, we want to keep it simple. Let's run our application. ng start. ng serve. By running ng serve command you can run your application. So we will navigate to our development server. Here you can see our initial page. Let's remove everything from our app component and take a div, and inside the div we will take an heading and we will place a text that is nothing else, it is introduction. So now our Angular application have only a heading with introduction text, and this is how we will write HTML into our component. Now let's create a component. We are using default component provided by Angular, and we need to learn how to create a component. To create a component, write ng, that is our Angular CLI. We will take help from Angular CLI to create our component. Then we want to generate a component, so first we will have to provide generate, then we will have to provide what we want to generate. In this case we want to generate a component, then we will have to provide a component name. Let's say its name would be foo, and run the command. It have create a foo directory inside app directory, and foo directory contains 4 files: css, html, spec.ts and ts, where the ts file is our component declaration file, and here you can see our selector app.foo, app-foo. We can use app-foo custom tag in our application to render anything, and by default it have just a paragraph with foo works text. Let's use this custom tag we have created, and that will be app.foo. We have used our newly created component. Let's check it. Here it is showing foo works, so we can make some changes here. Let's replace it works with some dummy text and save it. So you can see our application have rendered our dummy text. So if you want to make any style changes, you can write code here. Let's say we want to change our paragraph style. We want to assign red color to it text. You can see our paragraph color have been changed, and we will add JavaScript functionalities to the component in our later videos. So let's now close the Angular project and let's open our React project, and we will create our first React component here also. Here we will work into source directory, and here index.js is our entry point. Index.js is taking an app component and it is rendering the app component here. App component is our entry component, and here app component and something. We will run npm run start to start our development server. You can see our initial page. Now let's remove everything from here. Take a look. It is actually a function that is returning something like HTML but not exactly HTML. We can see that here is class name. In HTML it is not valid. In HTML it will be just class, but it is not HTML, it is JSX. You can say it is HTML into JavaScript, and here we have some changes. We have some differences between HTML and JSX. We will discuss about that later. So now let's remove everything from there, and we will take a heading tag and we will keep the introduction, and here we don't have use logo as set, so we will remove that. Now you can see we have introduction text. This was our default component, and now we want to create our own component. We can create the component here, but to organize our directory or component, we will create a new directory, name components, and here we will create our first component. Let's name it foo.js, and we will have to create a function that will return a JSX, and we will have to export that function. So let's create that const foo here we will return a JSX. Let's say we are returning a paragraph, and we are returning a tag p. Actually it is JSX. It looks like HTML, but it is not HTML, and we will have to export the foo function. Now we have created our first component. Let's use it. We have import our foo component, and we can use it like a custom tag. That's it. We have import our foo component and we have use it as our custom tag. Let's check it. Our application have rendered. This is our paragraph text from our foo component. We will discuss about JSX in later video. So we will close the React project now and we will dive into Svelte application. In our Svelte application, it may seem like something messy, but don't worry, I will explain everything in next few videos. Now we will have to just take a look on component. In Svelte, every component have extension of Svelte. You can see here we have header.svelte, it is an Svelte component. We have counter.svelte, it is an Svelte component. So in summary, a component will have Svelte extension. And in this project, plus page.svelte is our entry point of our application. Let's run npm run dev to open our development server and open the application. Well, we have opened our application, and now we want to remove our initial page. Let's just remove it. You can see something have been removed, but few more content is still there. So those contents are coming from this layout.svelte. Actually our website might have some layout. We want to share that layout in every page. So in Svelte kit it have layout functionalities, and if we want to remove everything from there, we will have to just delete everything, and now we can keep the slot here, and now our application is clean. Well, let's not talk about this layout.file. We focus on page.svelte component. So here I will take a div and I will take a heading. Heading should contain introduction text. Save it, and you can see we have introduction heading. And now we want to create our first component in Svelte. How we can do that? We can create our component anywhere we want, but to keep our directory structure organized, we will create a directory inside lib directory, and I will name it components. Here I will create our first Svelte component. Let's say Svelte, and Svelte is our component extension. We can just write any HTML here, and in our case I will write some dummy text. And now we have to use it. To use any component, we will have to write script tag where we can write JavaScript, and I will have to import foo component from the directory where I have created the component, and now we can use it as we have used component inside our React application. So take a look that our foo component have been rendered in our application. So in Svelte you will write JavaScript into script block and all HTML into our page, and if you want to write any style you can write that style here in style block. Okay, so that's it. We will have to dive into our Vue.js project. Let's open our Vue.js project, and here in source directory main.js is our entry point, and it is taking app.vue component. Just like Svelte component have .svelte extension, and in Vue.js it have .vue extension. So app.vue is our main entry component. Let's run npm run dev to run our development server. Here you can see a lot of things. We are going to remove everything from here. Let's remove. It requires a template and script block, so we will have to keep template block, and we can return anything from here. So in a Vue component you cannot write HTML directly like Svelte. You will have to write all HTML inside template block. Template is a valid HTML tag into HTML, and now we want to create our first component. We can create our first component into components directory. If you want to create your component anywhere you can do that. I will create the components into our component directory, and I will name it foo.view, and it will have the template block. It will have a paragraph with some dummy text, and now we will use our foo component. To use the foo component we will have to import our component inside the script tag. Well, Vue.js have two type of components. One is options API component and another one is composition API component, and we have setup script. I will use setup script. It is a composition API component, so we can import the component from our components directory and we can use it. That's it. We have import our component and we have rendered our text. You can say that why it is this type of style is coming from where it is coming from here and here. Now we have a clean file. We have a clean view of our application. In Vue.js we can also use JSX. We are writing JSX into React component. Vue.js also support writing JSX. Each frameworks offer its unique take on components, catering to different preferences and use cases. By understanding how components work in Angular, React, Svelte and Vue, you will be able to make informed decision when choosing the right framework for your project. Stay tuned for the next episode of Front-End Frameworks Showdown, where we will explore advanced feature and dive deeper into these incredible frameworks.